Hiya, folks. If you're new in town, don't be shy and just stand by. Let me explain to you how this works. Feeling bored or lonely and you need someone to watch cartoons with? Then look no further, because I'm here to play in your ear. You can listen to the podcast alone or alongside the cartoon. The choice is yours. Either way, let's get to Toon Along. And what is happening, everybody? What's going on, everybody out there? Everybody out there in the free world, right? Today we're going to be watching an episode of Sam and Max. I just got downstairs. It's Wednesday night. It's midnight, put it that way. I haven't watched a cartoon in a couple days now. Last one I watched was Beyblade. I was in the mood. I was feeling that zone that day. But today I just was browsing through the collection, just trying to see which show to watch, what to put on. I just, I saw Sam and Max, and I started having these little memory flashbacks. Let's go ahead and just start the episode right away, guys. It's Season 1, Episode 1, as usual. First time I'm watching this show on the Toon Along podcast, so I like to start fresh with each season. Maybe later we can skip ahead in a few seasons, few episodes here and there. But I like to start with the first episode. It gives me a little fresh refresher, if you will. And you as well, maybe if you haven't seen the show in a while, it's fun to watch that first episode. It's always a good start, right? Number one. So let's go ahead and start the first one here. Get your episodes ready here in 3, 2, 1, play. Now the version I have, guys, I don't know if there's an intro or not, but it just has the bunny spinning at the top of the building there. And this episode is called "The Thing That Wouldn't Stop It," directed by Steve Warehouse. Wow, I'm actually blown away on how detailed the animation is on this. And if you guys want to catch up, if you guys just want to see where I am right now, it's very dark. And there's a couple eyes right there, red eyes, that just popped up. So yeah, Sam and Max. I have this weird love, I don't know. To me, Sam and Max is like the father you never met, but you know he's there, but you love him, right? That's what I feel about the show. I'll be completely honest. I don't remember watching many episodes of this show. I've seen maybe a few here and there over the years, right? But this show has always been kind of just a cult classic in its own way. I put it along the same lines as Felix the Cat. Let's put it that way. Maybe because it played at the same time. I remember on YTV this show would play, and then Felix the Cat would come on. It was always be these weird, quirky cartoons that you had to really use your mind to really grasp. And at the time, I didn't really do that. So I'm appreciating it a lot more these days. Let's put it that way. But Sam and Max, just the background on the story. From what I remember, there's a bunny, and then there's a dog, and they're both detectives. They're freelance detectives, something like that. And they get jobs to go fight crime. They're detectives, right? That's all I can remember from the show, to be honest. I don't remember any specifics, any certain episode that pops out. But for one thing's for sure, this show left an imprint in my mind, in my psyche, whatever you want to call it. For Pete's sake, guys, the show only had one season, or 2 seasons. Okay, 1 year. It started, I'm looking right here at the wiki. It started in 1997, November 3rd, okay? And it ended in May of 98. So you're looking, about a year and a half? Not even, right? I mean, it is a year and a half, but just think about it. They're not playing an episode every week, right? 24 episodes. 24 episodes of a show. And give or take maybe a couple little specials. I'm not sure. I didn't look into it that much, but just think about that, okay? And years later, that's 1998, the last time this show played on the air. I mean, last time a new episode played, I'm sure it had reruns and all that good stuff. I mean, just look right now. Look at the space. Look at them driving in space. Isn't this the wackiest show? Isn't this the coolest show? And look at the detail. The stains on the wall and, in the corner. Look at everything. Just the way it's drawn. Beautiful. Beautiful fucking show. Okay, that was the intro. My mistake. I thought the intro played right away, but... Okay, here's the other thing, too. In the show, I think the first episode and the last episode, they're 20 minutes long. Those are the only episodes that are full-length 20-minute episodes. For the most part, when they played it in two sequences, 10 minutes and 10 minutes. But they never intended it for it to be, a 20-minute show. just nice little short spurts of cartoons. I actually prefer it that way. I prefer when cartoons, especially the old cartoons, I prefer when they're, Rocko's Modern Life, Angry Beavers, Rugrats, Animania, I mean, all of them. They all have these short little doses. And when you're done with the episode, say you didn't like the episode, well, you don't have to stick around. You wait for the next one. Wait for the commercial, come back, get yourself a little snack, come back, and there's a new one going on, right? But Sam and Max, that show, it just sticks in my mind. I don't know what it is. When I think of this show, I think of Dilbert. I think of, like I said, Felix the Cat, the Twisted Tales of Felix the Cat, that old TV show, the weirdness of it, the quirkiness of it. And Dilbert, I just say that because, I don't know, I would change the channel around that time. Or the Tick as well. I see Sam and Max very much like the Tick. But now that I'm watching it, and I haven't watched the show in years, but now that I'm watching it, I'm looking at the details, the attention to details. Very, very fucking good. I mean, fucking amazing. Compared to the Tick, just put the Tick side by side. Tick doesn't pay attention to that much detail. I don't know if it's because I'm watching a version that's just HD quality or something, but you just have to look at the animation, the sprites, the way they drew the backgrounds, the shading, all that stuff. It's just beautiful. It's actually a really nice show to watch. Now, my dilemma with the show, I've always loved the show. I've always loved the concept. Maybe I'll put it that way. I like the idea of this show. I never liked the show growing up. I couldn't sit down and focus. There was too much going on. Actually, in some cases, maybe it's too detailed. When there's too much going on, too much detail, for myself, a fucking hyperactive ADD kid, just watching this, just going nuts, I'm flipping the channel. I need something more simple. This is a little too advanced. And the jokes, they're very well written. The way the story's written, it's very well written. Everything about the show is great. I'm watching it years later. But originally, when I did watch the show, when I was 7, 8 years old, 97, 98, it didn't stick with me. But the idea did. And after all these years, I'm still thinking about the show. I'm going, okay, well, if I'm going to have a collection of cartoons, Sam and Max has to be in there. Even though I didn't enjoy the show, or even though I didn't, not necessarily enjoy it because I never gave it a shot, right? I never gave it a chance to watch it. But even though I didn't see it, I still think about it, which left an imprint. So I like that. I like shows like that. I like shows that keep me thinking, like, you know what, maybe years later I'll watch it. Sam and Max is that show. And if this doesn't do it justice, I mean, think about this, okay? The show ended in 98. There was a game for the Nintendo Wii for this fucking show. Are you kidding me? For the Nintendo Wii. And I only found out about it when I got a Wii. I got a Wii maybe a year or two after it came out. Or maybe 3. I got the red one, the collector's edition. But when I got my Wii, the first thing I started looking was for games, right? And one of the games that popped up on my search, I started looking for weird games. Not necessarily the popular games, but just weird games. And Sam and Max was there. And I was going, what? In my mind, I was thinking, well, maybe it kept playing. Maybe the seasons kept going or they brought it back. No, they just made a game. Well, when was the Wii? 2010-ish, right? Somewhere around there. So a good decade after the show ends, they come out with a game for the Wii. And not even for the GameCube, not even for the N64, but for the Wii. You know what that means? That means that the show had a cult following. It would have had to, right? Fans are demanding more content from the show, and the only way they're going to get it is in 2010 is on the Wii. The developers of the game, I don't know, I'm speculating, but the developers of the game must have had a look and said, yeah, there is a demand for it. We're going to make the game. Today, in PS4, PS5 now, if you think about it, coming up, PS5, the Xbox, all those, they don't take chances anymore. If they know it's not going to work, they don't even bother. Unless you're self-funded or you're self-starting, you're doing a little Kickstarter for yourself, you're not getting your game made. And for Sam and Max to get a game in the Wii era, unreal. Honestly, just think about it. Just process that for a minute. A show that ended in the 98, to get a game 10 years later on a Wii, on the Wii, a Nintendo, a platform that won't even freaking port the FIFA games or the hockey. They don't even make the hockey games on there anymore, right? Sports games in general, Nintendo doesn't do it, but they'll make a Sam and Max game for those few fans. And when I say few, I'm maybe talking about there's probably a lot of fans out there for this show. But think about it. Would they make a Dilbert game today? Probably not, right? Unless there's a little following for it. So I think that speaks enough for it. Now let's get back to the episode. I think this episode, guys, like we saw earlier, the fridge was, The fridge had a demon in it, and it's up to Sam and Max to go and figure it out. That's the thing about these shows. They're on in the background for me. I've never really paid attention. I've never really, listened or followed the story. I've never been like that with these kind of cartoons. I've always been pretty much leave it on, let me watch, let me see what happens, let me get in the zone. And Sam and Max has always been that show. Felix the Cat, same thing. I think it's because of the era. I'm just gonna say I think it's because of the era. You grew up in the 90s. You didn't have internet. You didn't have perspective. I put it that way, perspective. After watching a TV show or cartoon, you didn't go on the internet and talk about it on a forum or a blog or call your buddy up. Maybe you did back then, but there was very few contacts or very few, subjects following an episode of a cartoon or TV show in those days. So if you really enjoyed something, you got your perspective on it, which was your own perspective, but you didn't get anybody else's. It was very rare. And if you did, it was your friends, and, if you didn't agree with them, well, fuck you, I don't care about your opinion, right? But today, there's more discussion. People are talking about it, which is great, which is awesome for the world of cartoon especially. Is bringing back these old cartoons that are getting reruns, they're getting reboots and all kinds of stuff. So, but Sam and Max, I don't remember a single episode. You just look at the two characters and you go, yeah, that's Sam and Max. I know those guys. Can't tell you who they are, their identity and all that stuff, but that's fucking Sam and Max. And, getting back to what I was saying before, so this show, correct me if I'm wrong. If you guys, any of those diehard fans out there remember when this show came out. So when I'm saying 97, 98, I'm thinking Felix the Cat. I'm thinking Dilbert, on Teletoon. I'm thinking, or any, whatever channel you have them. But I know this played on Fox in the United States. Another interesting fact, the show was made by Nelvana Limited. If you guys up in Canada know the company Nelvana, it's that little polar bear. At the end of the cartoon, sometimes you'll see a little polar bear with a star. That's a Canadian company. This show's Canadian. I didn't know that. Maybe that's another reason why maybe it only got a season. I don't know. Speculation. But the fact that it stuck around is a testament in itself. The other thing, too, is I didn't know, is this is originally a comic book. Now, I don't know who made the comic book or which country made it or whatever, but it's a comic book. And usually if a comic book gets made into a cartoon, you're usually pretty certain that it's good. It's got to have some merit to it. If the story can be told or portrayed in the form of, a non-moving, a non-animated cartoon cell or just a comic book, and you can make it into a cartoon, it's probably pretty good. Put it that way. Anything, in my opinion on it, anyways, anything from comic book brought to cartoon is usually a pretty safe bet as a cartoon. And you don't necessarily have to like it, but it's probably meant for cartoon. And I'm thinking of Men in Black, because Men in Black originally was a comic book, and then they made it into a movie, which then got made into a cartoon TV series. But I felt that concept's pretty good. The cartoon is good. If you think about it, they've got so many seasons of that show, right? They've got, 4 or 5 seasons of Men in Black, which was originally a comic. So, and the same with The Tick. The Tick was originally a comic made into a TV show. Now, the comic, in my opinion, I think the comic is better than the TV show, but the TV show still has a soft spot. Much like Sam and Max. There is that little soft spot in me that goes, you can't count them out. They're still there. They're still going to be part of your nostalgia, if you will. Even if you didn't watch it, you know this fucking show, right? I'm just looking through the... Sorry, guys, I'm not even paying attention to the episode. But basically, if you guys want to, if you guys want to watch the episode on itself and get the whole gist of it, but I'm just talking about the show. I'm talking about everything that I can think about that comes to mind. I'm just saying it because I'm trying to get my memoriam fluids going. If you know what I'm saying. Yep. So get that out there on the old mic, eh? Oh, the refrigerator repair guy looks pretty cool. Looks like something right out of The Tick. There's that other show that used to play on Teletoon. Well, I'm thinking of Rippin' Friends too. This is not so much like Rippin' Friends, but I'm thinking of that show as well because I would have flipped channels back in 99. 97, 98. But I'm assuming the show kept going for maybe a year or two after, right? Let's just say the show played on the air from 97 to 2000. 3 years, reruns here and there. Now, I know near the end it didn't play as much. I know that because I think 2000, because when this show played, it played. Like, it played every night for a good year. So let's give it 97, 98. Felix the Cat. Twisted Tales, I should say. Same thing. And I'm thinking, I don't know why, but for myself in Canada, this show played on YTV. And I'm thinking of all those little stills that YTV used to do. They used to have these little animation. I think it was more to showcase their ability on making 3D CG, animation shorts, if you will. They would have these little puppets and these little instruments that would play. They would basically showcase what became Reboot, which is the way I look at it. I always used to see these little CG shorts as... well, look what we can do for 2 minutes, but imagine if we spent 20 minutes or a half hour, we can make a whole show like Reboot. I always felt like that. But these shows, Felix, this one, Freaky Stories, that's another one that comes to mind. I honestly feel, if anybody out there, I'm going to look into it, but if anybody out there remembers Freaky Stories, I feel like the lineup, I mean, get me wrong, the order, but Freaky Stories, Sam and Max, Twisted Tales of Felix the Cat, and then, Beast Wars and Reboot after that in the evening. But correct me if I'm wrong. I do think they were in a lineup of some sort. You remember Freaky Stories? The little creepy cockroach, beetle bug, whatever he was, with the worm, and they would be in a diner. They would talk. And then they would say, it happened to a friend of mine. And then they would show you the animation. They would show you the little cartoon clip of the story, right? But if you remember, the cartoon clip was not actually well drawn. It was just short little animation bits. It's almost like they didn't have much budget to do a full series of cartoons for it. So they just did little, I don't know, timeline, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a storyboard drawing, and just like clipping them all together, all these little storyboard drawings, and then the narrator would just kind of like talk over it. But then when you come back from the story, you would see that cockroach and that worm, and they would give you their 1-2 piece on it, which I thought was pretty cool, actually. It made up for the fact that the show wasn't animated. Now, Sam and Max, now I've got a much greater appreciation for the show in itself right now. The animation style is fantastic. Like, I mean, absolutely fantastic. I'm thinking about it. I haven't thought about this since I've watched the show, but I'm trying to compare it along the lines of best drawn shows. This one here, I mean, compared to everything I've seen thus far in the past, 2 months, this has to be probably one of the best shows I've seen drawn. Just the attention to detail. Like I said, I love The Tick, but this is not The Tick. I feel like if The Tick had this kind of animation, it would have been a better show. It would have been more appreciated, given more respect, right? Sam and Max, freelance police. There's a dog. You got a dog wearing a suit. You got a cat. You got a bunny wearing nothing. They get they're yin and yang to each other. Let's put it that way. They're yin and yang to each other, solving mysteries, solving crimes. I don't know much about, the personalities of each character, but I do know that the bunny is supposed to be the funny one, right? He's supposed to be the one that you don't take it seriously. What a show. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just sitting back here, just trying to collect my thoughts, stuff that I can remember from when the show was on. Just a simpler time. You're getting ready to go to bed. It's 8 o'clock at night. You've got maybe an hour or an hour and a half left of cartoon watching back in the 90s, late 90s, 9 years old, staying up till 10:30 max. Some kids, some parents were awesome. They let their kids stay up till 12 midnight. Not for me. During the week, I think the most I stayed up was like 9:30, 10 o'clock. But then on Friday, Saturday was a different story. You could stay up till 12. And on occasion, if you get that 1 o'clock viewing, you got some pretty wicked shows in there. Let me tell you, if ever I did catch a show that was on at 1 a.m. and it was raunchy, or if it left a mark, I fucking remembered it. Even though I didn't have the internet to look it up or find, I wrote it down, or I made sure I remembered that show. I'm thinking of like Oblongs or Trip in the Rift, all these little shows that played, in the wee hours when the kids are asleep in the teens are up watching their show. It's not like that anymore. Today you can get your content anytime, anywhere. They're not putting aside a specific time as much. They probably still are to some degree, obviously, but you know what I'm saying. When it comes to cartoons, you're not getting up on Saturday mornings to watch it. You can just watch them all on Friday night, right? Or watch them all on a Monday evening You don't have to wake up. You don't have to, set your time aside just for that viewing, which I thought made it more special. I thought it made the whole idea of watching cartoons a lot more special. If you wanted to watch the crazy ones, the Ren and Stimpies, the Oblongs, all those guys, you watch them, you stayed up later. You made sure you stayed up later, right? And you went through the garbage. I call it the garbage. Today it's not garbage. It's memorabilia. But if you wanted to watch Beast Wars or Reboot, you'd have to watch The Hit List or Daria. I didn't like Daria growing up. Now it's a different story. I do enjoy the show. I think it's funny. I do think the show deserves a second shot. Maybe a second. What's the word? A second upload. Put the show on Netflix. Put the show on YouTube. Give that new generation a chance to watch these shows. Now I know the context isn't maybe going to make sense because we live in a different era and time, but still, the jokes are still funny. It's still somewhat relevant. It's not like watching wacky races or, that kind of show is just a timestamp, in my opinion. But these shows eventually will become a timestamp. People will stop watching them the way they're meant to be watched, and they're going to view them as a little piece of viewing cartoon history. We're back. So now they basically spent they went in the fridge, right? They went to an alternate universe or something in the fridge. Sorry guys, I wasn't really watching. I was just honestly thinking about it. I love putting on a cartoon and just talking about it, just talking about everything that comes to mind, even if it doesn't have anything to do with the cartoon. It's all about getting those creative memory. I call them creative memory, but just getting those deep thoughts, getting them tinkling again, because there's fucking memories in there in your brain that you don't, that you're not going to remember unless something triggers it. And I feel like certain shows, even the stuff you didn't like, watch it, give it a chance, right? And Sam and Max definitely deserves a chance. I'm going to give it a chance. I'm definitely going to watch another episode later on and do maybe a couple more of these little Toon Along podcasts to this show. But there's so many cartoons out there to watch, and that's the end of the episode, guys. Yeah, cool. That was a pretty good one. Not going to lie, that was a pretty good one. I did enjoy that one. Honestly, I was blown away by the animation. It's really good. It's actually really well drawn. Now, that was 20 minutes. I'm just going to go ahead here and skip ahead to another episode. We're not going to watch it, but I just want to see the time. Okay, that makes sense. 10 minutes. So, yeah, if you guys are going to watch a show, you don't have to be burdened by sitting there watching 20 minutes of a cartoon. They're 10 minutes. The first episode is 20 minutes. Maybe watch the first episode, get the flow, get the feel of the show, try and get that identity. And then after that, it's a walk in the park. You're watching 10 minutes of a cartoon. You don't necessarily have to sit down and watch the whole thing if it's not your bread and butter. But give it a shot. Honestly, if you guys have not watched this show, or if you guys are diehard fans, I don't have to say any more. You guys will know more than me, honestly. But I'm just giving my perspective on it, what I thought about it, what I can remember from the show, and it hasn't. This show has aged well. It hasn't really let me down. I was expecting maybe a little less on the animation. To be honest, I haven't fucking watched an episode in like 20 years of Sam and Max. No, that's not true. I popped in an episode a couple years ago, but I didn't really watch it, so I don't remember it. But watching it now with full detail and just getting my mind going, a new appreciation for the show, much like Daria. I think these shows do deserve a second viewing, another chance, and I'm glad I'm glad there's a game on the Wii. And I think it's the Xbox 360, right? The 360 or Xbox. Well, either way, there's a game on a couple platforms, maybe even more that I'm missing. There might have been a PC game or two out there. But yeah, Sam the dog, Max the bunny. What a good show, right? Sam and Max. Well, with that being said, folks, I'm going to leave it at there, I think. And tune into the next episode. If you guys see any more content out there that you guys want to watch with me, or you guys want me to just comment on or just talk about, get some nostalgia fluids going, you know what I'm saying? Just give me a like, give me a comment in the comment section on Twitter, Facebook, whatever you guys want, and we'll make that happen. So, with that being said, thank you for stopping by, everybody. Hope everybody's being safe out there, and watch some cartoons. Be happy, enjoy the world, and don't take it too hard. We got lots of life to live, right, guys? All right, take it easy. Bye-bye.
You just listened to a Toon Along podcast. If you like what you heard or have any comments or feedback, don't hesitate to check out more on iTunes, Spotify, and TuneIn Radio, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube for more info. I'll see you next time. Ciao!